You Were Never Really Here is written and directed by Lynne Ramsay and stars Joaquin Phoenix as a very mentally damaged man. I went to see this movie because I love Joaquin Phoenix's work, such as The Grandmaster or Gladiator. I think he's a very good actor. He has a lot of range, and I didn't know a lot about the movie or the director, for example. So I had no expectation about what this movie should be or should look like. What this movie is about a very mentally damaged soldier who has a very troubled past with his family and at the war as well, and work as the guy you call to rescue people that got into very unpleasant situations. Like, he's the guy you call if your kid was kidnapped. He's the guy you call. He's brutal, he's trained, and he's very unstable. So that's what made his character interesting. One day he got a job to rescue a girl of a senator, and this is where things go down the hill. Let's move it out of the way. Joaquin Phoenix is great in this movie. He embodied this role so well. He's very physical. You can feel that damage and that vulnerability of his character. You get some very emotional moments along the movie that he pulled off very well, and he really carries the movie along because all of the movie is on his shoulder. So it's really fucking impressive to see this guy as this guy. Another thing that I liked about this movie is it's a very original perspective about a very familiar story. You have a very stoic man that get involved in some sort of relationship with a woman, and things go down the hill. We have movies like Drive, Leon, and Taxi Driver. And this is what this movie really feels like, a mash of these three movies. So the acting is great, the direction and the script is where the story didn't work for me. The first act of this movie presents us a character, the hero, Joaquin Phoenix. We get information about his past with his father. We get tiny information about his past in the army. But the problem with this movie is that each act feels like another movie. The first act is Taxi Driver style. The problem is that in Taxi Driver we saw De Niro goes from one point to another. We saw him from a very troubled man to a psychotic. And this movie, in the very first act, Joaquin Phoenix's character is already mentally psychotic. So we don't get very character building, such as Taxi Driver. The first act of this movie is also very long. It feels very repetitive, and we get a lot of flashback, but those flashbacks don't have impact about the second and the third act, such as Insomnia, which we get flashbacks throughout the movie, and eventually those flashbacks change the story. They actually give us new information about older information. In this movie this doesn't happen. The third act as well is very rushed and very quick. We don't really get a relationship between Joaquin Phoenix and the girl he rescued. And because there's no relationship between the two, we don't care about the girl. Therefore, the second and the third act don't have impact. The direction of this movie is very controversial for me, because from one point you can understand the vision of the director, you can understand what she tried to do, but the execution and how the movie eventually made up, it didn't work for me, and I'll explain why. Throughout the movie there is aggressive use of jump cuts. Now jump cuts can be used as a tool to make us feel like time passed. A lot of the time this is how she uses it, but there are actually a lot of times that she used the jump cuts in really a middle of very emotional scene. Joaquin Phoenix's character will get very emotional or disturbed. This is where I get excited because I get to see Joaquin Phoenix acting, which is really why I wanted to see this movie. But he starts the emotional scene and then she jump cuts to the end. So the tension is gone. The jump cuts drain all the tension from the scene. This is why this movie feels very tensionless. You can understand that it's really the first attempt of filming action and capture it, because all the action will be filmed with quick cuts and a lot of shaky cam, or with security camera, which made all the action feel very tensionless, without any suspense. It just feels like violence without any meaning. The last scene also was a huge letdown for me, because in the last scene, he and the girl he rescued are sitting and talking, and she goes to the bathroom, buys something, it doesn't really matter. Then we see him do something, and I was actually very excited because yes, suddenly there's consequences. The whole movie actually has meaning. But then you understand it's actually a dream sequence, and just what? Really? Like, if that, like the dream sequence, was the ending, the grade of the movie was a lot higher. Joaquin Phoenix has always given very underrated, very good performance. It's a very original movie. I can't give it that, okay? It's an original movie. If you like movies like Only God Forgives, maybe Raw, you can watch this movie and not being let down. I'm going to give it 4 out of 10, simply because I love the originality, the vision, and Joaquin Phoenix acting. What is your favorite Joaquin Phoenix movie? Is this The Grandmaster, Gladiator, or something else? Comment down below, subscribe, like my channel, and see you next time.